I would like to welcome you all to the meeting today. So I'm just going to hand over to John first to do the notice and the members' attendance and apologies.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council, which will be hybrid, conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Council chamber today, Wednesday, the 22nd of November at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderman Guy.
Online, John.
Thank you. Alderman Hussey.
Aye.
Alderman Carrigan. Alderman McCready.
Here, online.
Alderman McMorris.
Here, John.
Alderman Middleton.
Here, John.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Here, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
Yeah, John, online.
We have apologies received from Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor Boggs.
Apologies, John.
Councillor Boyle. Councillor Cusick.
Here, John.
Councillor Deany.
Apologies, John.
Councillor Devine.
John.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy.
Shot.
Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Fleming.
Shot.
Councillor Gallagher.
Shot.
Councillor Harkin.
Here.
Councillor Hart.
Shot.
Councillor Heaney.
Shot.
Councillor Hutton.
Shot.
Councillor Jackson.
Shot.
Councillor Leonard.
Shot, online, John.
Councillor Logue.
Shot.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McGowan.
Apologies, John.
Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell.
And shot.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Anelis. Thank you, members.
Just going to read out the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the chamber or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council's privacy notice may be found on the Council's website. Thank you. I would just like to ask now, are there any declarations of interest? No. I'll just move on to item 5, and that is chairperson's business. I've had quite a few requests for chairperson's business this month. And a few myself too, which I'll begin with now. First of all, I want to congratulate the whole council team on the fabulous Halloween celebrations and the whole programme. I think everybody will agree that it was absolutely magnificent. And I want to give a big shout out there, obviously, to the council officers who work so hard, but also the volunteers, the performers, but most of all to the many, many people who come out and supported all that was on offer. And I have to say it was a very, very successful festival. Moving on from that, I want to congratulate Learmount Community Group of being runner-up for their care project at the IPB Pride of Place Awards. This is a very prestigious award, and it's an All-Ireland award. I was actually present in Armagh So they got runner-up, so which was, I want to congratulate them for that. I also want to acknowledge the Strabane Youth Programme. They were nominated, and I think even to get nominated for such an award is a great achievement in itself. Want to congratulate once again Lisa McGee on the Best Comedy International Emmy Awards. I think that from what I hear, that's all the awards that can be won for this programme. So very, very well done to Lisa and all who take part in the Derry Girls. Also want to congratulate UV Art on the unveiling of the Undertones mural at Castlegate. I know this was in the making for a long time by I think the solicitor company there, and it took some years to complete. But I think we all agree it's a very iconic piece of art. It was the original photograph of their Teenage Kicks album 45 years ago. So, and I know that we all know how popular the Derry Girls mural is. We also have the Undertones too. So well done to them too as well. So as I said, I have 6 items of chairperson's business with a number of speakers on some of them who had contacted me regarding different issues. So I'm just going to read out the item and the names of the people who contacted me. And if I have left anyone out, please make me aware of it. So the first one would have been by Gary Wilkinson on the Donomana medical practice. Second one was Jacob Blard on the world champion solo pipist, and that was Julie Middleton. The third one I received was from Irene McMorris on the death of Paula Cunningham. The fourth one, which I've had a number of requests, and I wanted to congratulate them too, but obviously I'll wait too. And that request came in from the Catherine McDade and Pat Murphy. The fifth one I received was on the Gaza situation, and that was received from Sandra Duffy and Sean Harkin. And the sixth one was the levelling up, and that was received from Murray McHugh and Brian Tierney. Now, if I've left anyone out, please can you make me aware? No? Okay, so I'll begin in order as I receive them, and that will be to the Gary Wilkinson on the Donomana Medical Practice Award. Okay, over to you, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to be able to congratulate Donomana Medical Practice for their recent award, Success in the Family's First Healthcare and Key Workers Awards, where the practice awarded the GP practice for the award of the year. Both Dr. Forden and Dr. Campbell were also received special recognition awards. The real practice has been at the heart of Donomana and the surrounding areas for many of years, and a wide range of services provided, showing genuine care, compassion, and for the community as a whole. We are so thankful to have such a successful community and a person-focused practice within the Sperrin ward, and I'm so pleased to be able to congratulate them today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, and I suppose it was remiss of me too to welcome you formally to council. So, okay. Does anybody want to comment on that? Yeah.
You, Mayor, just as a fellow sparing councillor, thanks to Alderman Wilkinson for raising this. And again, on behalf of the SDLP, congratulations to everyone involved in Donaghmanic Medical Practice on another successful year, and I'm sure many more successful years of delivery service for the Donaghmanic people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. We'll move on now to Alderman Middleton on the Jacob Lard achievement.
Thank you, Mayor. It's such a privilege to be able to formally congratulate Jacob Laird from Brady Ulster Scots Pipe Band, who has recently been crowned a world champion at the World Solo Drumming Championships. Jacob Laird is 12 years old and is someone who has inspired me and so many others. His passion, commitment and natural talent for drumming is world class, and as a district, I'm sure you will all join me in congratulating his success. It's amazing that Jacob, at just 12 years old, has shone such a light on our proud Ulster Scots heritage and music scene. Thank you, Mayor, for agreeing upon requests to host Jacob and his family for a reception. They are absolutely delighted with this. Thank you.
Okay, anybody want to? No. Okay, it's over now to Naireen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me in. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the life of Paula Cunningham. Paula came to Londonderry from her native Enniskillen as a 17-year-old to train as a nurse in Altnagavan. She was a ward sister, and within 3 years, she became a sister, and she was a mentor to many young nurses and doctors. Paula was a nurse in the height of the Troubles. And nurses like Paula were dealing with victims of bombing and shooting incidents on an almost daily basis. She later moved into hospital management and administration and was a senior director of services within the Western Trust when she retired in 2013. After her retirement from the health service, Paula threw herself into voluntary work, not only for the diocese as safeguarding officer, but also local schools named like St. Paul's. She played a leading role within youth life and was a chairperson of Waterside Shared Village, as well as Hillcrest Trust. Paula was a wise, kind and humble woman who brought a wealth of knowledge and experiences to the role she held within these communities. She gave freely of her time and was always at the end of the phone for advice and support. Everyone whose path she crossed will miss her sharp wit, mischievous sense of humour, and above all, her kindness. And just on a personal note, I'd just like to say, as a fellow director on the Waterside Shared Village, as everybody knows, the Waterside Shared Village was a plan that Geraldine and myself had, and we were delighted to bring it to fruition. And Paula came into our directorship, and basically she took on the role of chairperson, and her first words, right, what is it you need me to do? She was a doer. She didn't come on to committees and sit and listen and sit back. She was absolutely an inspiration, and it's just sad. Thank you.
Christopher.
Good Mayor, and thanks to Alderman McNorris for raising this today on the sad and untimely passing of Paula. I've known Paula for a few years since she's through her work in the Glendermot Parish and through then subsequently in her role as a fellow director of Hillcrest, and she very quickly became chairperson. We were all shocked and saddened to hear of the very sudden death of Paula earlier this week, and our thoughts are with her family today as she was laid to rest. Paula was a lady. She was, and anybody that came to know her were very quickly gained. They had the utmost of respect for her. When Nairi mentioned the work that was put on developing the waterside shared village, which that process had been going on for many years. But when we met as a community and we were asked to nominate people on to a committee, a shared committee between Topple and Eyre Street, Paula was an automatic choice. It was somebody who we all had a great deal of confidence in, great deal of respect, and we knew, as Alderman McNorris has highlighted, that whatever needed to be done, she was up for it. She would do it. Where our city and our district is how much we've all suffered from the loss of Paula, but that loss has been felt most by her family. So I'm not sure if there was a proposal there, but I would propose, Mayor, that yourself write a letter of condolence to Paula's family. They show that they're all in our thoughts during this very sad time. Thanks, Mayor.
Can I second the proposal, please?
Councillor Minnick.
You, Chair, just thank you for letting me on. And can I join with Alderman Morris and Councillor Jackson? Paula was, I heard of her timely death on Sunday, and very shocked and saddened to hear, as a fellow director on Hillcrest Trust as well. Geraldine, when I joined, Geraldine became very quickly thereafter the chair of Hillcrest Trust, and like both Mary and Christopher said, she was a formidable and forward-seeing chair, hard-working, industrious, but always was there to support and nurture and care anybody coming onto the committee. And I'd like to just pass on my thoughts and condolences to Paula's family, and but as Christopher said and Mary said, the waterside and the city and district's much to purr today for her passing, and I'm glad to endorse the send a letter to her family. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I personally don't know Paula, but certainly got the feel for the person that she was, and certainly a letter will go from the Mayor's office. Okay, thank you. Now I have two speakers on the next item. The first one to contact me was Catherine McDade, and that was on the Steeltown ladies.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to put on record our congratulations to the senior ladies team in Steeltown Bryan Oaks, who won the Ulster Championship at the weekend. And it's an understatement to say a nail-biting match. It was a point on it at extra time, so it was very tight. They now go on to represent not just Derry, but all of Ulster in the All-Ireland Championship. And after a very controversial season last year, this has been an absolutely amazing achievement that shows not only their amazing ability, but also their grit, determination and hard work. They're an inspiration to us all. I'd like to ask the Mayor maybe that she might consider giving them a civic reception in the new year, and just wish them all the best in the rest of the tournament. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to concur with, sorry, another mic. Like to concur with everything that Councillor McDade said, and to congratulate all the players and the management and coaching staff. After last year, as Catherine alluded to, it was a very disappointing season and the end of the season. So they came back with hard work and commitment. They put their shoulder to the wheel, and they're now representing Ulster in the All-Ireland semi-finals within the next fortnight. So I'd like to wish them all the best, and good luck to Steelstown ladies. She's are brilliant after what just came through last year. It's a real achievement, and all the best for the semi-final in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to agree with the previous comments and commend Steelstown ladies. It was a magnificent victory, and I think we all want to wish them the best. I think the idea of a civic reception is an excellent one, and I think it's brilliant for women's sports in the district as well. They're brilliant ambassadors for women's sports. They're brilliant ambassadors for Derry, brilliant ambassadors for the district. So hopefully there'll be more to celebrate in the coming weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I just want to concur with everything that has been said here. I certainly have no problem doing a reception for them, but it will be well in the new year because, well, there might be two things to celebrate then, or three. But I think the receptions is just really booking out, so, but it will be done. Okay. Now, the next chair's business that was raised by me was on Gaza. And the first person was Sandra Duffy and then Sean Harkin. So Sandra.
Good Mayor, for allowing me in on this issue. I think that it's easy to see that nobody can be failed to be moved or horrified by the images that are coming out of Gaza in the past 6 weeks. What we have witnessed in front of our eyes and our TV screens and social media screens is genocide. The savage bombardment of the Gaza Strip has seen now over 15,000 people murdered, with over half of them being women and children. The targeting of hospitals, schools and refugee camps is disturbing to look at, but it is also despicable, and it is a breach of international law. It is not a defence. They are simply war crimes, and they are collective punishment. What we have seen reported over the last number of hours, reporting to be a pause, has to be welcomed in terms of the onslaught and the release of hostages. But nothing short of a ceasefire and the release of all hostages is what is needed. On Wednesday, the 29th of November, we will see International Day of Solidarity. And as a city and district, we have been joining people around the world over recent weeks in relation to having rallies and demonstrations here, and this must continue. And as a council, we should be supporting them. And I would like to put on record, Mayor, our thanks to yourself. I know you have attended a number of the rallies and you have spoken very passionately on them as well. So I thank you for that. As a party, Sinn Féin welcomed the Palestinian ambassador to Ardèche 2 weeks ago, and we clearly set out our support and solidarity for the people of Gaza and the West Bank. But we now also have an opportunity as a council to show the world our support, and by doing so, we can light up our council buildings in a powerful symbol of solidarity. We can also promote the events that are currently being organised to mark the International Day of Solidarity. And as a council, we must also redouble our efforts to implement BDS, a motion that was brought before council not once but twice. I believe the first time was in 2018 and the second time in 2020. As a council, we're very proud of that position, but we need to move on how we can implement that. I know we have blockages, but there are options that may be open to us that we absolutely need to explore. But again, it must be stated that what the people of Gaza need to see is a complete ceasefire and dialogue to deliver a genuine peace process and the end to the slaughter and deliver freedom for the Palestinian people. I have sent through a short proposal in relation to that. Mayor, I would ask that maybe Teresa could put that up for me.
Then second that proposal, Mayor.
We have a proposal on the floor and it's been seconded. I should open that up for members' thoughts on it, but I think it's only fair that maybe I should bring in Councillor Harkin first.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
If you want to speak to the proposal,
Sure.
but also I know you want
Yeah.
to raise the matter too.
Yes,
So
thank you. Yeah, look, I've also sent Theresa a proposal for today, and some of the issues are overlapping, but some of them aren't. And I'm happy to speak to this motion that's on the floor right now, if that's all right. Look, I think we have 14,000 people, or more than 14,000 people killed in Gaza, more than 6,000 children. And we have Israeli ministers now openly saying that this is ethnic cleansing and they plan to drive all Palestinians out of Gaza. So this is genocide and we're witnessing it as we speak. And I think I'm very proud that Derry has spoke up for Palestine. We had a brilliant vigil on World Children's Day where children in Derry were a voice for the children of Gaza and Palestine. And that's happened right across this island as well. So look, I'm not going to say everything I want to say because I want to speak to the motion that I have, Mayor. But on this, I fully support the proposal of backing all the International Day of Solidarity with Palestine events on the 29th of November. I think we should absolutely light up the council in solidarity with Palestine. I think we should recognise all the events that are happening, and I think we should commit to implementing our BDS policy. And on that, I think we have to go further than saying that we're going to explore it. Look, this has been a corporate policy of our council now for a number of years, and there is a genocide happening. And yes, there is a pause, but Israel are saying that they are going to drive Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip. So I think we have to have a bit more urgency in that. So I would like to amend it to that we would not explore, could take months. I think we have to be talking in the next week how to have a discussion about finding a means of implementing the boycott, divestment and sanctions against Israel. So I'm happy to put word in to amend that, Mayor, if that's acceptable.
Okay, members, we have an amendment. I need a seconder for that amendment. Okay. I have a few speakers, so Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. And with your permission, I'll speak to the amendment and the original motion. And we have no issue with either at all. I think, and all our members have already spoken about what we're seeing happening in Gaza. And, you know, it is harrowing, what's going on over there. And it is genocide in every sense of the word. And it's absolutely shocking that we're watching this on our TV screens and we're hearing and seeing reporters reporting it. And I think it is incredibly important that we do whatever we can to send our full support to the people out there. I think it's Derry has been to the forefront across the north in terms of trying to raise this issue and show solidarity and support where we can. And I think, you know, when you look at the decision by O'Neill's, which began in the city to remove Puma from their stores, and they have done that now across the island to show that they are taking steps to implement the BDS policy. I think it's only right that this council steps in now as well and does all we can to get it implemented as quickly as possible. And I welcome the fact that the amendment's there, although there will be a meeting next week to discuss how we do it. I think it's important that we get on with doing it. We in the SDLP supported the two previous proposals around BDS that came before this council, and we have no issue in supporting and doing whatever we can to try and get it implemented as soon as possible. And in relation to the rest of it, I think it is important that we do support the International Day of Solidarity with Palestine on the 29th of November. I think, you know, and we use our council buildings several times throughout the year to highlight ongoing campaigns and issues that people across the city and district care about. And I think at the minute that the most important issue that people are showing with the numbers of people that are attending protests and vigils is the issue that's going on in Gaza. And I think it's only right that this council shows that with lighting up our buildings and using whatever platforms and promotion we can do to highlight the events that will be taking place across the city and district at that time. So the SDLP have no issue, Mayor, in supporting the amendment or the original proposal, and we look forward to considering the proposal that's coming from Councillor Harkin in due course. Thank you.
Mayor, just from our perspective, we fully support the amendment. So just to put that in clear, and given the support for the amendment and the original proposal, it's been indicated so far. I just wanted to make a suggestion. Not entirely sure that it needs an amendment, but given on the subject of meetings next week and on the subject of showing our support and solidarity for the International Day of Solidarity on the 29th, conscious that there is a council meeting scheduled for that day, and we send our solidarity on the 29th, I would suggest that it would be explored that meeting is postponed till the following day. I know that meeting, the following day is always kept clear for the follow-up meeting on the planning committee. So I would suggest that it is explored, that we keep and allow members the time to be able to attend the events and express our solidarity to the people of Palestine on International Day of Solidarity. So if at all possible, could that day be cleared in relation to council meetings? Thanks, Mayor.
Need a formal proposal for that.
And if that requires a formal proposal, then I'll make that once this amendment's dealt with.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Alderman McMorris.
Sorry, Mayor. Thanks for letting me in. Madam Mayor, in regards to the proposal we have in front of us and the amendment, I'm going to speak on both. We as a party recognise the absolute trauma and abysmal acts that's going on out in Gaza at the minute. But we also have to be mindful that there was 1,400 Israel people who was slaughtered and murdered as well. Not only that, there was over 200 hostages also. And we welcome the fact that there is a pause and a humanitarian pause, which we welcome, and we call for a ceasefire as well. I mean, everybody that's any way human couldn't be anything but touched by what they're seeing on the TV screens. But unfortunately, the proposal in front of us is not. It's not inclusive. I have to say, what kind of message does that proposal send to our Jewish community who are living amongst us within Northern Ireland and Ireland? It's just, you know, we need to get more inclusive as a council. And this is not inclusive, where we're lighting up and we're being mindful about one side of the conflict and not the other. And on that basis, we have no option but to oppose this amendment or proposal. Thank you.
Any more speakers? Councillor Donnelly?
Chair, I have just a slight amendment, but I know there's a couple on the floor, so if you want me to wait, I have sent it to Teresa, but I can wait to see how these...
We have to take this amendment first and then I'll bring you back on then, okay? So I'm going to take a vote on the amendment.
Alderman Cook? Alderman Guy?
Against.
Alderman Hussey?
Against.
Alderman Carrigan?
Against, John.
Alderman McCready?
Against.
Alderman McMorris?
Against.
Alderman Middleton?
Against.
Alderman Wilkinson?
Against.
Councillor Jason Barr?
Or.
Councillor Lillian Barr? Councillor Boyle?
Or.
Councillor Cusick? Councillor Devine? Councillor Donnelly? Councillor Alex Duffy? Councillor Sandra Duffy? Councillor Farrell?
Or.
Councillor Fleming? Councillor Gallagher? Councillor Harkin? Councillor Hart? Councillor Heaney? Councillor Hutton? Councillor Jackson? Councillor Leonard? Councillor Logue?
Or.
Councillor McDade? Councillor McGinley? Councillor McHugh? Councillor Mooney? Councillor Murphy? Councillor Norris? Councillor Farrell? Councillor Riley? Councillor Tierney? Councillor Neelis? Mayor, I've recorded 28 for and 8 against, so the amendment passes.
Okay. All right, before bringing you in, I want to, Christopher, that's an amendment to the motion. Your proposal, was it, Jen? Gary, over to you. Hey, go ahead, Gary. Oh, it's on there.
Chair. Chair, look, I have a slight amendment, and it's just to add on. I've sent it to Teresa, but there's a wee typo instead of and. It's and to bring back a report on implementation for the next full council meeting. I think that from talking to the people outside, there's a frustration, a growing frustration with the lack of movement of this council on the BDS policy. There's a perception that it's actually being prevented, installed. And there's a lot of anger growing, and that's given that effectively Gaza has become a graveyard for children. There's 16,000 people dead, 3,500 women, and over 6,500 children. There's over 30,000 people injured, and there's nearly 5,000 people missing, presumed under the rubble. Hundreds of medical workers and journalists have been deliberately targeted, and the Zionist government is openly using genocidal language. They know there's no comeback, that the world has turned a blind eye because the US has given it tacit approval. Schools have been deliberately bombed, refugee camps, hospitals, civilian convoys being forced to flee, told what way to go, have been bombed. And this is psychological warfare. People are running out of clothing, appropriate clothing. They've had to flee from their homes. Winter is setting in. They've had to leave their homes. They've no medicine. If you're diabetic or high blood pressure, there's diseases are becoming rampant. Diarrhea, a common cough or a cold now could be a death sentence for a young child who's malnourished through lack of food or water. There's no fuel, there's no electricity, and all this is deliberate war effort by Israel, backed up by the US and Britain. It's absolutely shocking. I have never witnessed anything like this. You look at them views, the images of a young child with its femur protruding from its leg, and it's in shock that it can't even cry. You'll have all our children crying, I didn't do anything, I didn't do anything. Or a child covered in rubble clinging to a tree in shock. Absolutely brutal. And the worst thing about it, that it's all deliberate. So I think the anger out there is growing. There's resentment. There's a resentment as us, as civic leaders, politicians, elected reps, whatever way you want to describe yourself, but they see us as being ineffective. We have been in this chamber many times discussing this. And to those that says, they try to tell us that this happened on the 7th of October. People walked out of this council chamber at Christmas over the whole Jerusalem, the capital and all. We've been standing on pedestrian bridges, roundabouts, the diamond for decades, marking atrocity after atrocity. This didn't start on October 7th. People talk about hostages. There's hundreds and hundreds of civilians and many of them children who have been taken hostage by Israel and tried through military tribunals. This didn't start on October 7th. Well, whatever your opinion on that is, you can't help but see that this is a huge disaster and that this council needs to do more. We need to implement our corporate position. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly, if you have a seconder for that. Yep. Okay. Sandra.
For Margaret Mayor, and I was happy to come in and actually second that proposal from Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Donnelly painted a powerful image there, and it was actually quite emotional listening to you as well. But you're 100% right. And in terms of the proposal and why I was going to come in, I think that it is timely that we have a report brought back in terms of laying out where this is, because there is huge frustration out there. But I also think that it's quite timely because we do have a deputation coming to committee in January from Omar Bagoudi, who is one of the founders of BDS. So I think that it will be good if we can get that information clear in a report before he comes to committee. So no, I fully support the proposal of the amendment from Councillor Donnelly.
We have a second amendment, folks, so I'm going to ask John again to isn't it?
Do you want to check if anybody's going to vote differently?
Is anybody going to vote differently from they voted before on the first amendment? No. We'll just check it then that the second amendment reflects. Is that okay?
8 for, 8 against.
Okay. Right. Now we're going to go to the amended motion. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Mayor. Teresa, I just sent an amendment which is I described hoping Teresa's got it, but essentially it is what I've outlined, that any formal council meetings that are scheduled for the 29th are postponed to allow members to attend events in solidarity, or they mark International Day of Solidarity for Palestine.
Sorry, Councillor Jackson, can I have a seconder for that? Sandra Gasling. Again, I'm just going to ask the same process. There's no difference of opinion regarding the first vote on the amendment? No? Right. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the substantive motion. So is there anybody else would like to speak on the motion as it sits at the minute? Sorry? Oh, thank you.
Police just asking to speak.
Just tell me. Ryan, sorry, I didn't see you there, but if you want to speak now, Ryan, that's okay.
No problem, and thank you very much, Mayor. And I suppose my position hasn't changed since what I said in the last meeting. Regrettably, as the conflict has ensued, the realities of that conflict has came to fruition, which are abhorrent, and the inescapable truth of loss of life is a reality as we see today. And there's yet no winners in this, and there's not going to be any winners. But let me address the motion specifically in each part, Mayor. Firstly, to stand in solidarity for the International Day of Solidarity for all civilians caught up in the Palestine-Israeli conflict, there'd be no issue with that. But the fact that the first part of this motion almost treats there's two types of people in this conflict, I have issue with. So it is not inclusive, it is one-sided, and I don't take it away from the passion and the emotion that people have expressed in here for good reason. But that Palestinian child who's caught up in the fire is in the exact same position that an Israeli child or of any religion caught up in this. They don't know exactly what's going on or the impacts of this. So to single out and treat children differently purely based on the religion is equally as abhorrent in the first part of this. Secondly, as council, we light up the buildings to mark significant events, and to light it up in solidarity, I have no issues with that. But again, the fact that we're not lighting it up in the colours of peace, which we would all universally agree is white, but yet we're choosing to politicise this and identify and signify lighting up one particular colour over another. That's not an acceptable position for me to be in. So I'll be against that part also. And thirdly, the BDS policy, which I understand, it's very selective. And also within this chamber, we're very selective of sometimes of what battles we ensue and engage in on this policy. A quick check through Google or the International Court of Human Rights. Does this equally apply to China, Russia, North Korea, etc., etc.? But as you can see, singling out one over another is a political decision to make, of which I won't be a part of. And lastly, until members are serious about standing in solidarity with an innocent civilian on all sides, rather than choosing to highlight one over another, then how can we be part of that? What example are we setting to the children of the next generation, even in our own society, which they haven't seen recent conflicts such as our Troubles, and they're only seeing it on the news in the Middle East region? To single out and treat people differently is the exact description and definition of discrimination, I suppose. And so to sum up, until we get real about solidarity with innocent civilians and all else, then how can we in good conscience actually get behind it and do this just because it's politically popular or a big feature in the Ardèche or anywhere else in other political standpoints? So that if we were seriously to re-look at this through a human eye, a human element, then you wouldn't be marking out one colour over another or a child over another based on political persuasion or religion. Madam Mayor, us in the Ulster Unionist Party will be voting against this motion. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman, I'm going to bring in Councillor Jackson.
Good, Mayor, and in essence, I would agree with a lot of what the previous speaker has said, and when we're talking in a humanitarian perspective, all lives are equal, and the lives of Palestinian children are as equal as the lives of Israeli children, and for far too long, that hasn't been the case, and it's certainly not the case when we take into consideration the actions of an Israeli government. The International Day of Solidarity for Palestine is come from 1977. A decision of the UN General Assembly has designated the 29th of November. The comments that were made by Councillor Donnelly, this didn't start on the 7th of October, and the UN General Assembly has recognised and set aside the 29th of November as a day to send our solidarity to the people of Palestine who have been denied rights for far too long by an oppressive Israeli government. And the Day of Solidarity is a day that this council has recognised in the past as a day to stand up against apartheid, they stand up against discrimination. And this year, when the genocide is happening, this year is more important than ever that this council takes a stand and stands up for the rights of the people of Palestine who have been denied for far too long. So in relation to the discriminatory nature that Alderman McCready has suggested, we would completely argue against that. So I just wanted to come on the back of the comments that was made by Alderman McCready and give an explanation for the proposal that's in front of us today. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. And in relation to the proposal, which since I last spoke on it has had a number of amendments, just to make it clear that we're happy to continue supporting it. And I think some of the amendments actually make it a lot stronger in relation to the implementation of the report, and that report coming back the full council next month. It puts a timeline on this and allows, hopefully, the implementation of the BDS policy to move a lot quicker. In relation to some of the things that have been said, and without getting into it in too much detail, I think, and I've been trying to rack my brain since Alderman McCready, since listening to Alderman McCready, and Councillor Donnelly's right, this didn't start just a few weeks ago. I remember in 2013, Shauna Cusick and I, and many other people that are in this chamber, being at a protest up at the War Memorial around this particular issue. So this is nothing new to anybody. And the thing that people need to realise, this isn't about us. This is about stopping people from dying. That's the reality of it. And people saying that it's discriminatory and picking a political choice and all of this, with the greatest respect, is nonsense. This is about us as a council and as a community and as a country doing whatever we can and sending whatever support we can to stop people from dying. If people expect us to apologise for that, then I'm sorry, but you'll be waiting a long, long time for me or the SDLP or those that are voting for it, I would assume, to apologise for that. This is, as I pointed out last month, a massive humanitarian issue. There might be a pause in it now. No one knows how long that's going to last. We could have people in Gaza being bombed at Christmas. This needs to stop, and we need to do whatever we can to make it stop. And getting into petty arguments about whether or not we agree or disagree with it doesn't help anybody.
We need to be united. I think it was Councillor Harkin said, we need to be united in sending a voice from this council district that we want the murder of innocent people to stop, no matter where it is or no matter who is carrying it out. And people need to get to that position very, very quickly, in my opinion. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, look, just in response to Alderman McCready, I think that his remarks are highly hypocritical. There's two sides here. You're either with Israel committing genocide in the Gaza Strip, or you're against it. And Alderman McCready needs to decide which side he's on. I think that the world is saying, because they can see what's happening on their TV screens, that there is barbarism happening right before our eyes, the murder of more than 6,000 children, and there's famine conditions inside Gaza. That's why we're talking about this now. This is an emergency, and we're past passing symbolic motions. We need to do everything we can. Look, Israel is a nuclear armed state with the backing of the United States, funded every year to the tune of £3 or £4 billion. It is an occupying power, and that is what's the issue here. Israel occupies the West Bank. It occupies the Palestinian territories. And you're either with the occupier or you're against the occupier. I'm against the occupier. They are, Israel in this situation is the oppressor state. And Palestinians are living under, whether they're inside Israel, whether they're in Gaza, whether they're in the West Bank, they're living under apartheid conditions, and it's apartheid that Palestinians will resist. They resisted it before October 7th, and they will continue to resist it. And the world is saying they're against Israeli apartheid. And I know that. Look, when Russia invaded the Ukraine. We passed a motion here in the council supporting a protest opposing Russia's invasion. Alderman McCready came to that protest saying he was against the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and he was siding with the Ukrainians' right to resist. Would he not side with the Palestinians' right to resist? What's the difference? Why isn't the international community supporting Palestinians who are living under oppression, who are being crushed and strangled in Gaza? Who have millions of refugees right across the world? Why doesn't the US, why doesn't Britain back the Palestinians? And that's where the hypocrisy is at the heart of this debate. And that's why I think it's important for us to do everything we can to stand in solidarity with the Palestinians and to help to stop this slaughter.
Okay, I have no more speakers, and I'm going to ask Sandra now shortly to sum up. But just before I do, I just want to say that I don't agree that we are being discriminative. This started in 1948. There is 67 differences in rights, entitlements, or rules that Israel is imposing on the West Bank. So it has apartheid that Councillor Harkin said. And I do wish that when the slogan came out after the Holocaust during the Second World War, never again, I do wish that the writers of that slogan meant it for everyone. So, Sandra.
Good morning, Mayor, and I would like to thank everybody who took part in the debate. And it's good to have these conversations, because what we're seeing unfolding in the world is just barbaric. There is no other explanation for it. It's just pure evil in my view. They are war crimes, they are collective punishment, and we can't stay silent when these things continue. The world is watching, and they're watching everybody in terms of what they're going to do and how they're going to stand up. I have never seen more people being involved and exercised around something as I have seen over the last number of weeks, because people can't fail to be moved when they're watching these scenes unfold. We had 30 34 babies, premature babies, lying in a bed. Last week, we had a doctor talk about one of those babies where they don't even know where the baby came from. It was found in a tree. These things are just horrific. They're inhumane, and we need to be seen to be standing up. Councillor Harkin talked about no more symbolic motions. Well, this is actions that we can take as a council to send a strong message of solidarity to the Palestinian people. We do have a proud record, and we have stood many times right around the city in different places following different atrocities that we have seen in Gaza and in the West Bank, and I will continue to stand with the Palestinian people. I think people that talk about this being one-sided are tone deaf and perhaps blind to what they're actually seeing on our TV screens. We have seen blanket bombing of hospitals. We have seen blanket bombings of churches, of refugee camps. That is one-sided. That is inhumane. That is treating one people as if they are not worth anything. And we need to be using our voices, and we need to stand up and be seen to be standing up and show our solidarity. And that's what I will be doing on Wednesday, the 29th of November. But not just on Wednesday, the 29th of November, every day until there is a ceasefire. And we cannot stop calling for a ceasefire. Thank you, Mayor.
Right, I'm going to call for a vote now for this motion. Unless, if anybody is going to vote differently, could they indicate? If not, I'm just going to ask John to record 28 for and 8 against. I take it that motion has passed then. Thank you. I'm going to go on to the final chair's business.
Sorry, Mayor, I had indicated that I had also sent a motion to Teresa. So I was saying wanted to still introduce that.
Apologies, Sean. I thought the amendment that you brought on was it. So we'll go ahead now. A seconder for that motion? Well, that's not the motion. It's not complete. Right, members, please. I'm just going to resume here. We have a motion on the floor. Councillor Harkin, did we get a seconder? Did we? Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for letting me in. And I know that this is a long discussion, but I think we can all agree it's a very, very important one. And I think that we as a council have a duty to do everything we can to try and stop the slaughter. And right now, diplomatic efforts, I believe, are central to that. So what the British government can do, what the Irish government can do, what the American government can do to rein Israel in and put an end to this genocidal war are all absolutely key. And that's why these votes that have happened in Westminster and in the Dáil recently were angering and went against, I believe, world opinion. The vote in Westminster last week, the call for an immediate ceasefire didn't pass, and that was a disgrace. And I think we have to call out those who didn't vote for a ceasefire because I believe that they have blood in their hands. Because more Palestinian children have died as a result of that ceasefire not being implemented and worked on straight away. Similarly, in the Dáil, Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael and the Green Party all refused to back the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador, something that this council has already called for, and nor would they back bringing charges against the Israeli government for crimes against humanity committed in Gaza. And I think we have to ratchet up the political pressure on governments to back a full ceasefire and a full end to Israel's genocidal war. And that includes the United States, because, look, Israel wouldn't be able to commit these war crimes if the United States wasn't green-lighting it, wasn't giving them unconditional support. And I think that the role of the Biden administration has been absolutely disgraceful in all this. The vast majority of Israeli bombs, bullets are all paid for, as people know, by the United States government. We have a special envoy here for economic affairs. I think that that is the person that we need to send our message to him directly, that the United States needs to end its unconditional support for Israel's genocidal war. We are also, as people know, not just a council that has backed boycott, divestment and sanctions, but hasn't been able to implement, but we've also voted to be an apartheid-free zone. And that means we can put out a call right now for our residents to do what O'Neill's did, which is to not have Israeli products in their stores. There's many big corporations that are complicit in what Israel is doing. There's organizations and companies that are profiting from the genocidal war. And I think we should call on our residents and companies that are operating in the district not to stock Israeli products, not to buy Israeli products, with the goal of ending apartheid. And ending apartheid is the key to actually creating the basis for peace between everybody that lives there. And the last one is very, very important as well, which is the need for humanitarian aid right now inside Gaza is absolutely massive. And there's a lot of fundraisers that are happening, musical events, bake sales, school events, where organisations are doing what they can to raise some money to help people in Gaza, and they're going to need a lot. So I think we should, as a council as well, be commending those efforts. You know, at the end of the day, it's been people power demonstrations and actions, and there's going to be more of them in the coming week that are making the difference. That's what's putting the pressure on the US and Britain and others. It's what's putting the pressure on Israel. And I think we have to back in whatever way we can all those efforts that are designed to bring an end to this slaughter. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Look, I think it's only fair. This is quite a long motion. So I'm going to call a recess for 5 minutes for members to just have a look at it and have their thoughts around their response. Okay? Thank you. Right, folks, can we all take our seats again, please? Right, folks. Thank you. I have one indicated speaker so far, so Sandra.
Good Mayor, and just to put on record our support for the proposal from Councillor Harkin. There's nothing in that proposal that we wouldn't support. We as a party in the Dáil have been very clear around Israeli actions needing to have consequences. We have been very clear around the need for Israel to be referred to the International Criminal Court. And we have been very clear around the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador. So we have absolutely no issue in supporting this. I would like to just comment on the bit at the end around organisations and groups who have been organising rallies, organising fundraising events, and just like to say there's a coffee morning tomorrow morning in Pilots Row that is raising funds for medical aid for Palestine, and I would like to invite anyone who is free to come along to that and support that event. I think that there has been a lot of really good fundraising from schools, churches and different organisations, and all that has to be commended, and it shows the support right across the city and district for what is going on and for the need for a ceasefire. So I'm happy to support the proposal.
Okay, just what time's that coffee morning? Sandra, you might want to say.
It's 11 o'clock in
11 o'clock. Okay, Councillor Tierney, and then Alderman Hussey, and then Councillor Darmouth.
Thank you, Mayor. And I suppose there's quite a lot there, first of all. But looking at the proposal from Councillor Harkin and breaking it down, there's not one single paragraph or one single ask that we wouldn't support. So I'm happy to say that we're more than happy to support the proposal. And if you break it down and look at it, every one of those actions is about one thing, and it's about ending what's going on in Palestine. And that's where we have to try and get to. And I hope that speakers who are going to follow me are going to come at it from the same position. I think it's disgraceful that the proposals at Westminster fell. I'm proud to say that our MPs, Colin Eastwood and Claire Hanna, supported it and co-signed the proposals to make sure that they got to the floor. But by not, the job of government is obviously to govern, but the main principle of it is to make this place better. That's the main principle. Whether you're a councillor, an MLA or an MP, that should be the fundamental principle that you're going to work every day to try and do. And in my opinion, the MPs who didn't support the call for a ceasefire have supported the war, because they're not supporting the stopping of it. And that, in my opinion, is totally and absolutely shameful. As I've said already, this isn't something which is going on across the world that we don't know what's happening. There's very good live coverage coming from every news channel that you could even switch on about what's going on. We're not blind to it. We can see what's happening. And it's absolutely horrendous. So for us, and I apologise to other members because even I'm getting fed up with hearing me saying it, but we have to get to a point where what's going on stops permanently. And if this proposal and each and every action contained within it goes some way to doing that, then we in the SDLP are happy to support it, because we genuinely want to see what's going on and the killing and bombing and shooting of innocent people across Palestine and Gaza stopping immediately and stopping for good. And I hope, and I've said it already, Mayor, this isn't about our own political differences here. This is about stopping innocent children from dying. And I think, and I hope that people can understand that that's where we're at. And don't, please, to other members, Don't be using other communities as an excuse to get yourself off the hook, which has already been done today in this chamber. Thank you.
Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. Unusually, I haven't spoken on this debate yet. And I'm not speaking on this particular proposal, but I will be asking to make a proposal when this one is dealt with in regard to the overall debate.
Look, I think I agree with the motion or proposal. It's not about stopping for 4 days until a deal can be done and released. You know, for some people, if it is a 4 day or 10 day, whatever it is, that's going to prolong somebody's life for 4 days or 10 days. Even in horrible famine-like conditions, that's not what we need to be doing. That's not where we want to get to. What we want to do is get a resolution of the conflict, because, you know, in previous, and including our own situation here in the conflict in Ireland, Israeli attacks on Hamas in the past didn't defeat them. It made them more stronger. Israeli attacks on Hezbollah didn't defeat Hezbollah. It made them stronger and more efficient. And attacks on civilian community in Gaza is not going to lead future generations to take a path of peace. The people that we're seeing now being carried into hospitals that have maybe lost the rest of their families, orphans, are the next generation of resistance. And what they're seeing, and what the world is saying, is that it's okay to bomb civilians. It's okay. Hospitals are now legitimate targets. Ambulances are now legitimate targets. And who can tell them in 10 or 15 years when they're the next generation of resistance fighters? You can't do that, or you can't do this, because the world has sat idly by and watched their relatives being wiped out. So it needs to be addressed, and I think that within this motion, it'll go some way of addressing. We need a resolution. We don't need a pause. So happy to support the motion.
I have no more indicated speakers, so I'm going to ask Councillor Harkin to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks everybody for their support. And look, the Irish Government, the Dáil, will be voting tonight on a motion calling for support for boycott, divestment and sanctions to be implemented immediately. I hope that motion will pass. And the Irish Government right now doesn't reflect the views of the vast majority of people on this island, as you can see from massive demonstrations in Dublin and Belfast and Derry and Cork and everywhere else, and the kind of support that Palestinians are receiving. But look, you know, someone said in the previous discussion, well, what about the Jewish people? And I should say my partner's Jewish and went to Hebrew school, was brought up as a Zionist and is no longer a Zionist. And the vast majority of her friends and family in the United States do not defend the Israeli state. That's why you're seeing now in America massive demonstrations organised by Jewish people saying this is not happening in our name. And the reason why they're saying that is because they can see that Israel is repeating a human catastrophe. The Holocaust was a crime against humanity, and the Nakba in 1948 was a crime against humanity. And what Israel is doing today in the Gaza Strip, and what it seems to be preparing to do in the West Bank, is a crime against humanity. And so we're seeing huge numbers of Jewish people calling on the American government to end its unconditional support for Israel's slaughter. And that's only going to grow, because what Israel has done is, through its barbarism over the last 6 weeks, it's demonstrated what its project is about. And its project is not about trying to come to a peaceful resolution. Its project is to expel Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, expel Palestinians from the West Bank. And that's a colonial settler project. And they could only do this by fully dehumanizing the Palestinians, where everything that's happening to the Palestinians is their fault. And this is not true. And that's why the world right now is demanding that governments change their policies, that they act differently. Unfortunately, governments, far too many of them, have been far, far too slow to respond. And thousands of people have suffered as a result. But the pressure is going to grow because the pause is only for 4 or 5 days. And let's see what it actually looks like. Israel has said that they're going to bomb Gaza completely into the ground, so that they're going back to this after 4 or 5 days. So I think we're going to have to continue to build people power movements. We're going to have to build big pressure on corporations that are complicit in genocide and apartheid. And people, the vast majority of people that I've been talking to who are outraged and were never really, maybe never involved in politics before, they want to find a way of doing something because they can relate to the horror that they're seeing unfolding on their TV screens. So I welcome that our council will call on the American government to end its support for Israeli slaughter, for the Israeli government to be brought for the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity, and reaffirming our support for the expulsion of Israeli ambassadors. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, folks, I'm going to call for a vote again now. John.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cook.
Against.
Alderman Guy.
Against.
Alderman Hussey.
Against.
Alderman Carrigan.
Against.
Alderman McCready. Alderman McMorris.
Against.
Alderman Middleton.
Against.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Against, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
For.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
For.
Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Cusick. Councillor Devine. Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
For.
Councillor Fleming.
Sam.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart. Councillor Heaney. Councillor Hutton. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard. Councillor Logue.
For.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell. Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Neelis. 28 for and 7 against.
Okay. Thank you, John. That motion passes. Alderman Hussey, I'm aware, is it on this topic? I have one more item. I have one more item on the agenda, chairperson's business to raise. What do you want to talk about? Is it on the topic of Gaza? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and could I ask that the proposal I wish to make is on the screen?
There, I can second it.
Okay, have you a seconder for that proposal? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. People have talked about the start of this, whether it was the 7th of October or not. The start of the current phase was, but as you rightly pointed out, and I think Councillor Harkin mentioned, when did it start? It started in 1948. And it started when the Arab League attempted to euthanize the embryo state of Israel. And what we are witnessing now is a continuation of that by Hamas, which is what I refer to in the last section of that proposal, where Hamas is attempting the genocidal eradication of Israel and its people. That's an aim of Hamas. It's one of their aims. Mention has been made of the innocent victims, and I think it is important that we separate Hamas from the Palestinian civilian population. And like others, every sympathy with those who have been impacted. But let us also recognise that hospitals, camps, schools, other civilian areas have been used by some Hamas in a human shield type fashion. That has to be condemned. And in that, I simply propose this motion for this council to consider if it wishes a balanced approach. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Donnelly.
Good Chair. Look, regards to this motion, I've been on record and don't condone the deliberate targeting of civilians, but see regards hospitals and the propaganda that's coming from the Zionists. I would say many people in here have probably seen computer-generated pictures of a command and control bunker under Al-Shifa Hospital. We've all seen it. There's tunnels, there's all sorts of bunkers, all sorts of rooms. Complete and utter lies and propaganda. Doesn't exist. There is some tunnels, but the Israelis built them. They've admitted that they built them. If anybody has seen the last week the amateurish attempt by Israel, they say that there is bunkers and they're being used for weapon stores. Even the BBC has nailed it. The BBC, there's one where the Zionist took a video and there was 1 or 2 weapons. By the time they allowed the media in, there was extra weapons. They're putting out videos and saying they're unedited. Experts have ripped it apart. They've got an Israeli actress. They pretend to be a Muslim or a Palestinian hospital worker, ripped apart. Timestamps are wrong. There'll be a timestamp on one of their videos, whilst the clock on the wall says it's hours later. Complete and utter fabrication. If it wasn't so serious, if it didn't have to do with killing people and maiming people, it could almost be a comedy sketch. And the reason why they're doing it is they don't care. They're not even putting effort into their propaganda because they know that the world isn't going to do anything about it. The arrogance is shocking. And if you look at some of the, particularly the religious leaders, the fundamentalists, they're actually saying, kill the children. Because if we don't kill the children, they will be the next generation. So what we're talking, we had the thing about 40 babies being beheaded. Not true. They used the same thing against other people that they wanted to remove and overthrow governments, where it was people stabbing children in incubators in another war or weapons of mass destruction. The first casualty of war is truth, and that's what's happened here. And now it's also been admitted that Israel had killed a large number of the fatalities that were attributed to Hamas. We don't know what is going on here. We are relying on Israeli propaganda who won't allow any foreign journalists in or independent and are actively targeting Palestinian journalists who can't get out. So the first casualty of war is truth. I don't know what's happening over there, but I just know that the conflict is wrong and we need to stop it. This is a propaganda effort by Alderman Hussey.
Sandra and then Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. And do you know what? As a party, we're absolutely opposed to any targeting of civilians. But I have to say, Councillor Donnelly's last comment there was going to be mines around mistruths and propaganda. And the first casualty of war is the truth. And there has been a lot of propaganda and mistruths that have been coming out of Israel over the last number of weeks in particular. We have seen this being debunked time after again with fact checkers, and including the BBC's own fact checkers. So in terms of the proposal that's in front of us, I do think that this is a further effort in terms of exposing propaganda from the Israeli side. There has been absolutely no evidence of hospitals, churches, schools, or anything else being used as civilian shields for Hamas. There is no evidence at all. So we won't be supporting the proposal in front of us from Councillor or Alderman Hussey. I do believe that he is just trying to mix at this point in time. I think that our focus is very clear, and our focus is on the need for a ceasefire. We're very focused on the need for dialogue and a proper ceasefire to stop the onslaught that we have seen on the Palestinian people and the people of Gaza, and that is very clearly being perpetrated by Israel and no one else.
Councillor Harkin.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, look, obviously, people before profit, like others, won't be supporting this proposal from Alderman Hussey. And I think that one thing we do know is that occupying armies lie. They lie and they cover up, and they cover up for decades if they have to. And Israel is an occupying army. And we've seen from the very beginning, they have a lot of their arguments that they put out to justify what they were doing have fallen apart, and Councillor Donnelly just went through them. And look, it's not just people in Derry reading about this. Hundreds of millions or billions of people across the world are reading even BBC reports that are undermining claims that the IDF are making and that the Israeli government are making. And that's why there's growing pressure on the United States and growing pressure on Israel to end this slaughter. And that's why we have a pause, but a pause is not going to be enough. We need a complete end to the genocidal war, and we need to dismantle apartheid. And it's only when apartheid is dismantled that we will have the opportunity, or people who live in the region will have the opportunity to live, in peace. Every condemnation of Hamas has been used to justify the slaughter of the people of Gaza. That's how it's been used. And if you think about what the Israeli Defense Minister said at the beginning of this conflict, he says, we're dealing with human animals here. And he wasn't just talking about Hamas, he was talking about the entire population, because he followed that by saying there's no water for these people, there's no food for these people, there's no electricity for these people, there's no fuel for these people, and we are going to bomb them into non-existence. And then the Israeli state says, we're going to move them out of Gaza. That's our ultimate goal. We're going to get them out. We're going to try and force them out of the Rafah border into the Egyptian desert. And that's what we're seeing playing out. This is Israeli propaganda. And Alderman Hussey should know better to be fully taken in by the Israeli state that is acting barbarically right now and making the world more unsafe for Jews and more unsafe for all of us because of what they've unleashed.
Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. And I genuinely hoped that we wouldn't explode onto something like this. And I've said several times today, this isn't about us. I genuinely believe that this proposal is trying in some sort of way to make our own political and community differences into this argument. And I don't think it's helpful to anybody. And it's certainly not helpful to anyone across the Middle East who has the potential to be bombed out of their beds at night. I have no issue whatsoever in saying that I totally oppose the actions of Hamas. No issue whatsoever. And I've made several comments today and on any proposal or discussion we are having around this particular issue. I've been very clear that the SDLP want to see the end of this war, and we want to do whatever we can to assist in that way. But we won't buy into propaganda. There has been no independent verification of anything that Alderman Hussey says up there. No one in my opinion, trustworthy, can say that hospitals, camps or schools are being used in this way. And that's what we're doing. We all know, and I have worked with victims of propaganda who in this city in 1972, the British media put out that the fault for Bloody Sunday lay with local people. It was nonsense. And it took to 2010 to get that corrected. We can't buy into propaganda. If this was verified by people, we would give it due consideration. But it hasn't been independently done. And for that reason, and that reason alone, we will not be supporting the proposal. But I want to make it clear, I want to do all I can to stop it, to stop what's going on out there, and I want to send whatever support we can to do that. But supporting this isn't going to do that. And this is very much an attempt, I believe, at trying to turn the table, trying to score political points. And I made the points earlier on. I genuinely believe that there's people in this debate, in this chamber, who are using small hooks to get themselves out of a corner. And it's not going to help anybody in the Middle East. It's pathetic and it needs to stop. If you genuinely want to show support and stop what's going on out there, then stop this nonsense because it's not helpful at all. Thank you.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in. And I seconded Alderman Hussey's proposal. And again, in regards to the comments that have been made, and I will pay credit there to Councillor Tierney. Councillor Tierney addressed the issue. Whether individuals are not reliant on the media information in regards to the use of hospitals, camps or schools in regards to their use by Hamas. The issue was the second part of that, the proposal was put forward as the Hamas's aims. And to be fair to Councillor Tierney, he did address it, whereby every other speaker refused to address that and just went against this proposal that's been put forward. And as I say, we're trying to bring a wee bit of balance into the equation in this situation. But again, People for Profit, Sinn Féin, Independents refused to address that issue, because that is Hamas's stance that they've taken, whereby the SDLP did. But so, Mayor, it's just addressing that issue, that we're content to support this proposal and feel that it is it's a major issue that's got to be taken on board in regards to their views in regards to Israel, and they don't want the state to exist full stop. But thank you, Mayor, for letting me in.
I have no more indicated speakers, so I'm bringing you back, Alderman Hussey, to sum
I
up.
want to delay procedure, Madam Mayor. Let's go to a vote.
Okay, thank you, members. Alderman Cook.
Or
Alderman Guy.
Or
Alderman Hussey.
Or
Alderman Carrigan.
Or John.
Alderman McCready. Alderman McMorris.
Or
Alderman Middleton.
For.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Or John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Against.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
Against.
Councillor Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Cusack. Councillor Devine. Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy.
Neil.
Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
Against.
Councillor Fleming.
Neil.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart. Councillor Heaney. Councillor Hutton.
Neil.
Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard. Councillor Logue.
against.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell.
Neil.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Neelis. Thank you, members. That's 28 against and 7 for, so the motion falls.
Hey, members, I'm going to go on now to the final issue of chairperson's business that was looking to be raised, and the next issue is levelling up. Councillor McHugh and then Councillor Tierney.
Well, Mayor Vera, thank you, Mayor.
I just want to take the opportunity, I suppose, to register our disappointment at the announcement by the Levelling Up Minister that we here in the North won't be able to access Levelling Up Fund Round 3. You'll know yourself, Mayor, that we were very successful under Round 1 with a number of applications being successfully funded, and the fruit of which we'll see hopefully in the coming weeks and months. We were less successful then in Round 2. We had 4 applications, none of which were successful, and those applications included a new leisure centre at Strabane, our greenways projects, the redevelopment of the Cregan Reservoir, and the play park application, which would meet some of the needs under the play plan that council has compiled. So, I mean, I would presume that had we had access to Levelling Up Round 3, that some, if not all, of those projects would have been maybe tweaked and then submitted under Levelling Up Round 3. But as the announcement said this week, we won't have access to it, and the reason being that we don't have devolved assembly here. I don't want to get into a whole anti-DUP tirade, but the fact remains that because the DUP refused to go into power sharing, that this is a result of that position. But hopefully, Mayor, with news reports yesterday, there seems to be some shift within the DUP to move towards re-entering power sharing. And if that is the case, and I hope it is, that maybe the Levelling Up Round 3 access is something maybe that is part of that package deal that hopefully the DUP will accept, and we will welcome that. But Mayor, just to, I suppose, put on record that we need to be back in power sharing at Stormont to deliver for our people right across the city and district with application funds like this.
Councillor Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor. And I suppose at the outset, just to make the point that I agree totally with Councillor McHugh and everything that he has said. And I'm only happy that we're having an opportunity to actually speak about this. If you take levelling up from the very meaning of it, it's about bringing communities up and making communities better. And the very fact that we haven't even had an opportunity to tap into that funding at Round 3 is a total and absolute disgrace. I've spoke quite a bit today, and I've talked about people using things as an excuse and one thing and another. And it appears to me like the British government are using the fact that we don't have a functioning government here as an excuse. And like Councillor McHugh, I don't really want to get into a whole DUP bashing session, quite frankly, because this meeting's due to be over at 6 o'clock, and I don't think I would have enough time to go through all of the many different aspects of people's lives that not having a functioning assembly and executive has impacted on over the last 18 months. And I also think that it's not helpful at all. But Mayor, this funding from Levelling Up was to replace vital EU funding, which was coming in to this city and district, and was supporting community organisations. And when they lost it, I'm sure everyone knows that many of those community groups were getting it really, really tight. And this sign of levelling up funding was almost a lifeline for many of them. And I have met with groups from right across, and they're actually quite annoyed about the decision which has been taken by the British government. I think this shows further that with the stroke of a pen, the British government can just deny us of vital funding, which we need. I have issues around levelling up. I don't think it's transparent in any shape, form or fashion. And I think it's more of who gives a wink and a nudge on the way in than the credibility of projects. But that's just my opinion, and obviously not an opinion of this council. When you look at the projects that we had put into Round 2, and similar projects in other council areas were funded and we weren't. So without any justification whatsoever. When you look at the incredible decision in round 2 to fund Dundonald Ice Bowl, how is funding Dundonald Ice Bowl going to support the people in that community? They're going to be charged to get into it. It's a private entity. When you put that against play parks and communities which have been deprived of community facilities for decades, against a private entity like Dundonald Ice Bowl, it really, really surprises, well, doesn't surprise me. But anyway, this money is around trying to support people. It was supposedly the British government's way of making Brexit that little bit easier. It hasn't made it any easier at all. And it was supposed to be around helping people. We have been excluded, and that's not right. It's just not right. And I want to make the point, Mayor. Round 1 of levelling up and round 2 of levelling up was rolled out and projects funded, 3 of which this council benefited from in round 1. There was no functioning assembly or executive in either previous round. So why use that excuse now? We and community groups across the north, I genuinely believe, by this decision, are being punished by the British government for a decision taken by the DUP. And that's not fair. Mayor, I have a proposal which I've already forwarded to Teresa, and I genuinely hope that this council supports it. But it won't be a surprise to anybody on here that there will be no Tory minister, or in my opinion, DUP politician, who will lose a single night's sleep over this decision. But many, many people who work tirelessly in our community and voluntary sector across this district will, because it's their futures, it's their projects, and it's their facilities, which is going to be all the poorer because of a decision taken by a British government that has no thought or care for this part of Ireland. Mayor, I propose the following proposal, and it's just basically that we write to the Secretary of State for Levelling Up on Housing to express our grave concern at a deliberate attempt to exclude and deprive the North from this vital funding. Thank you.
Right, folks. We have a proposal on the table, which has been seconded. So I do have a number of speakers here already before the proposal was made. So do you want to come in and speak to the proposal as well? So, sorry, Councillor Harkin, it's Councillor Gallagher first, and then yourself, and then Sandra. Thank you. Sorry, I know I was looking at you, but
I appreciate it, Mayor, for letting us in front of Councillor Harkin. 100%. Thank you. I'm a bit surprised at some of the naivety in the chamber that they would be fooled by the British government of putting up a smokescreen and blaming Stormont for round 3. That's diabolical, to say the least, that Sinn Féin in particular would fall for that. I'm shocked. On the round 2, this council put on an application in good faith in round 2. After the closing date, this British government changed the criteria that excluded this council, that application for a new leisure centre in Strabane. That's what the British government done. That was a smokescreen they put up at that stage. They block funding coming to Strabane. And now we see a political party in here falling for a smokescreen of blaming Stormont. Tell you what about Stormont. Stormont in 2016 promised this council £7 million. Stood down the road
on the runway at the airport with a cheque. £7 million. Do you know how much we received that £7 million? Not one penny. Not one penny. And we see the crisis that it's in today. So I wouldn't be fooled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be happy to support the motion. Look, I think it's disgraceful that the British government has pulled tens of millions of levelling up funding for communities here. And I'm not surprised. I think that they are claiming that this is about putting pressure on the DUP to enter back into an executive. I think that the British government has put a sympathetic arm around the DUP to try and figure out its issues, and then has engaged in collective punishment of everybody here, of all communities. The Secretary of State, as we know, has put through a couple of £1 billion in cuts. Workers can't get a pay raise. Community organisations are struggling to get funding. Our public services are on their knees. And now, piled on top of that, we have the latest attack on communities here. I think it's a disgrace, and I think we should do whatever we can to force the British government to reverse its decision to pull this funding.
Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Mayor, I'm going to be a bit cheeky, but I'm going to say, right, for a starter for 10, we don't like any decisions made about here being made in London. We need local accountable ministers. We need local people who understand really local issues. And what I just wanted to say was a big congratulations to BBC Radio Foyle, who have had their half-hour radio programme extended to 1 hour. That was a decision that was taken in London, and we've just got news today that that is now going to be extended to 1 hour from the new year. And I think that a big congratulations needs to go to the NUJ and everybody who campaigned to save Radio Foyle. It's a much needed local radio station that does absolutely sterling work in terms of bringing local news stories, local interest. They know the community, they know what's going on. So I'm delighted to see that being extended, and I congratulate everybody involved in the Save Radio Foyle campaign.
Alderman Hussey.
Apologies, it's just the acoustics. Apologies, Sandra. Thank Councillor McKee for raising the issue, and as has rightly been pointed out, I mean, levelling up funding has come to Northern Ireland without, Stormont being there. And my thoughts on it were previously, surely to goodness, this was something directly with our councils. It was our council who put in the application for the successful applications we had. So I agree. On this occasion, the British government, I wouldn't say, I forget the exact wording, has given them an excuse. They are using that as an excuse to not fund on this occasion without any valid, proper reason. It's an absolute disgrace, and I agree that the pressure should go on to them as per the motion that's in front of us. The unsuccessful applications we had in round 2, we were told they were on the cusp, of being viable. And as I understand it, this particular round, didn't go out again. It was those ones that were previously on the cusp in mainland UK that have been brought in, but we've been refused. Why? There's no logic in the decision that has been made by the British government other than to punish the people of Northern Ireland. And that is a scandalous and disgraceful situation for our government. That particular stand is a disgraceful situation for them to take. Thank you, Chair. Mayor.
Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose from my point of view, Mayor, we're also disgusted the fact that level 3 hadn't been allowed to be brought forward. as everybody said here, level 1, level 2, the government was down whenever they went forward. And I do believe that the British government is using this as a tool to penalise the people of Northern Ireland and using it as a weapon to kind of nearly blackmail people. In regards to Councillor Tooney's comment about the DUP not sleeping, you said that basically, I can't recall.
Not losing sleep.
Not losing sleep over the decision. That's what it was. I can tell you now that on level 2, Ross Valley Play Park was included on that levelling up fund. And I can assure everybody here that I do lose sleep over that. When I look at that play park, and Ryan, whenever you were mayor, you went out and seen the park. It's actually desolate. There's absolutely no play value. There's absolutely nothing there. And I do lose sleep over it. And I'm disgusted at the stance that the British government has made in order to not include us. That is a vital project, as the other projects was included in level 2. So yes, I'm disgusted equally as much as everybody else in this chamber about the decision. Thanks.
Good, Mayor. Mayor, just to say we'd be supporting the motion, and just want to pick up on what Councillor Gallagher had said there. There's nothing naive in Sinn Féin when it comes to taking at face value statements or decisions or reasons for decisions made by the British government. Like when I spoke earlier, I spoke about that was the reason the British government gave. I never said that I believed it. But the fact remains that a local devolved government would leave us in a far better position to influence decisions here in the north. And surely that must be a position supported by Councillor Gallagher, because they ran for election on 2 occasions unsuccessfully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Just a very slight amendment, Mayor, as all I would be looking. I've emailed it through there, and it's in regards to, thank you, Teresa. Just adding that we extra sentence in, and then there's a wee bit there where it says there, the Good Friday Agreement has, and then it's that given. I would take out the given and put in being used as a reason by. As minor amendments, but as I say, in regards to that, I would be contenter to support the delete that given. Would have been the only slight amendment. And in regards to that, Mayor, I'm just it's easier read for me at that stage, and after no. Maybe I'm reading that now. I would take it. Sorry, Teresa. We'll take out we got it in round 1. We'll take out the round 2, rounds 1 and 2. It's all right. Just leave it as round 1.
How about just second that amendment, Mayor?
I would have been minded. No, I'm taking.
Mayor, can we ask people to use your microphones, please?
Given the score.
Mayor, Mayor, no, we didn't hear anything you just said because your mic wasn't on.
Apologies. Sorry.
Can we just use your mics because I can't,
Yeah.
I'm on the lip. Sorry.
Apologies. I had just said that it didn't read right to me, the first part of the amendment.
I agree.
However, I didn't see the score out of the has and the given. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, have we a seconder for that amendment? Yeah, Alderman Hussey. If I've no more speakers, can we take a vote on the amendment?
Is it unanimous?
Or if it's unanimous, you know, if the whole, yeah, both the amendment and the motion. Councillor,
I'm voting against.
is there anybody else voting against? You're against too, right? Do we have to read it out, John? No. Right, everybody else for? No abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. That's amendment, but the motion, are you against the full motion too? Against the full motion? Yeah, sorry, you need to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm glad to see that it's going to get carried anyway. And we'll hopefully see some action out of it. I'm not going to ramble on a while. I just want to touch on two aspects of some of the stuff that people have already said. Councillor Gallagher talked about a smokescreen. We didn't fall for this one bit. And I actually said that it doesn't surprise me whenever I was speaking around the British government's attempt to use that. I want to just make one other point in relation to what we actually lost out on across the north. £30 million. It's not to be sniffed at by any stretch of imagination.
Yep.
And it's quite a bit of investment. And I know communities like Ross Downey that Alderman McMorris talked about that would have benefited if we had had an opportunity to get our projects in. And I do touch on the point as well, Mayor, and Alderman McMorris touched on it, where she said that I said that no DUP politician would have lost sleep over it. And I genuinely do take on board what she has said, and I 100% accept that she may lose sleep over that particular play park. There's no issue with that whatsoever. And Alderman McMorris was there whenever I was mayor and went out to see that play park, and it definitely needs reinvestment. Absolutely does. And I do genuinely accept what she's saying, that is something that troubles her, and I accept that 1,000,000%. But what I will say is that I think she might be one of very few within her party that will lose sleep over something like that. And I genuinely mean that, but I accept from her position what she's saying, and I do hope that at some point we are able to put funding in for things like the Glendemmer Play Park, and I would be only too happy at that time to support it. Thank you.
Right, I'm just going to move this on, folks. Look, we have two councillors, Councillor Harkin, Councillor Gallagher, who've said they're, sorry, did somebody want to come in there?
Sorry, I was just going to come back on Councillor Tierney's. There's a lot of DUP that's losing sleep over it. Thank you.
We've summing up now. We're just deciding on the motion now. Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Donnelly have indicated that they're voting against. Is there any abstentions? Everybody else for? Yes. Okay, thank you. Well, folks, as we know, look, that has been a long chairperson's business. We've still quite a lot of issues to get through. Now, I will be guided by the majority. I am suggesting to keep going to try and get this meeting finish by today. Keep going without a break, that is. So how do you all feel about that? He's okay? Right, let's go. So So item 6 is the confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of the Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, the 25th of October, pages 7 to 42. Any matters arising? Alderman Hussey.
Two matters on page 18. It's with regard to the NIC recognising Alderman Breslin. It's just to note that the NIC have a planned developing a new economy conference coming up at McGee. The chief executive has the detail on that, and it will go out to members. And can I urge that members look at that invitation to that conference? It's a free conference at McGee, and that we fully support that particular conference. I think the conference is also open to senior council officers, and I hope that will be taken up. The second item I have is 406, which is quota. Have we a response yet? I'm suspecting not, because we were to be updated if a response was received. And can the chief executive confirm then that that will be a matter that will be looked at the Northwest Strategic Growth Partnership meeting that's coming up shortly? It's an important issue for the entire Northwest, as you know, so I think we need to keep pressure on there. I hope that there will be government ministers at that, north and south, or departmental officials north and south, and that we'll be able to continue the pressure on that particular issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Just through you, Chair, there were responses received that were presented to Governance Committee, I think. If Alan can confirm that. Yeah. There's a fixed agenda for the growth partnership meeting that's been agreed with the NSMC, but obviously members are at liberty to raise under AOB any further items.
No other matters arising? No. Sorry, Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It's item 4C437, and it's about the Ballyarnett Park. Look, we recently made a decision that that was unanimous to transfer lands to the Steelstown Brian Oaks for the development of their new stadium. And we also agreed that a number of the Chamber expressed its frustration that another organisation, Greater Shantallow Community Arts, was in a dual process of discussing with us about the prospect of building a regional arts centre in Ballyarnett Park as well. And I just want to ask if the councillors have had any engagement thus far since that decision was made with the GSAP.
Through you, Mayor, I can
with Greater Shantallow.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, I can confirm that there has been a cross-departmental meeting held with Greater Shantallow Community Arts since, led by Stephen Gillespie, but comprising the other directors as well. I think there's to be a report coming into B&C. Stephen, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Greater Shantallow will present to B&C this month in their concept designs for the centre, and there will be a report of the meeting as well for members' information.
Sorry, Councillor Duffy.
Just declare an interest as employee of Greater Shantallow Community Arts.
Moving on to item 8, the confirmation of the open minutes of the special meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Monday, the 13th of November 2023. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Yes. Okay, seconder. Yep. Thank you. Any matters arising?
Chair. Ms. Misha, apologies. So
Oh, who's calling the bit?
Gary Dolan.
Gary first, does it? Sandra first? No, right, Gary, I got a bit confused.
no,
Gary, go ahead.
thank you. Chair, SC 72/23, page 45, at the end of it, where it talks about an agreement. This refers to the agreement by the developer and council to basically go their separate ways, and council would take responsibility for developing the open space. I have asked, and I've asked it through the legal department in this council, for a copy of the agreement. And what I was sent was not the agreement. And at the meeting, I had asked again, I had said that I didn't get the agreement. And it was stated to me, which is in my, that it was also said that if I needed anything else, that was the defence. And to me, that's a poor defence. I think this agreement is vital if it exists. And what I was also said was that I was invited basically to come and view a huge file and share that paperwork and look for it. I don't think it's my job as an elected rep to be going and mooching through a huge pile of paperwork. I've asked for the agreement, and to me that raises a red flag, because this could be perceived as what's known a term called dumping, where large volumes of documents are landed on a recipient in the hope that they will either miss the document that they're looking for, or lose the will and stop looking for something that is potentially not there. It's my opinion this document doesn't exist, this agreement doesn't exist, and I want to know now if officers, because I've asked a couple of times, if officers can supply me and our members of this council with that agreement. Because I think that, this agreement or lack of agreement has potentially doubled the cost of this project. And I think that ratepayers are getting it tight out there. And I think that it needs to be cleared up, because it's going to leave suspicion in my mind alone. I can only speak for myself. So if I could get a copy, and our members could get a copy of that agreement. Thank you.
Before I bring John in, or whoever's going to speak to that issue, Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Donnelly for raising this issue. I would also like to see sight of that agreement, and because I want to understand if there was agreement, and I think that's some of the questions that still remain out there. So I would like to see sight of that as well, and I would like to just double check with officers. We all know about the land encroachment issues at this particular area. And one which is working its way through a process of negotiation and a potential legal aspect as well. But on that particular patch of land, and I hope officers know the patch I'm talking about, that they're sort of at the right-hand side of the site where the 4 houses were to go. Is there any other land encroachment issues apart from the one that we're all aware of with the shed? Is there any other land issues at that particular piece of land? Because I've been led to believe that there is by someone outside of this council. But all of the information that we've been given is it's just around the shed. And I would like to understand very clearly if there's other issues which weren't detailed on the paper around that sort of smaller piece of land to the right-hand side where the 4 houses were to go. Thank you.
Thank you, through Mayor. The lead legal service officer fortunately cannot be with us today, so I will take that request back to him from this meeting. And with regard to the second question, I can't answer that today, so I'll come back to you on that one as well. No. And my mic is stuck.
I
think you can go ahead.
Okay. So we'll move on now to item 10, and that's the adoption of the open minutes of the following committees. Special Environmental and Regeneration Committee held on Friday the 19th of October 2023, pages 43 to 48. Thank you. Thank you. Any matters arising? Councillor Alderman Hussey.
Just a brief one. It's under network maintenance, and it's a query. If council can clarify it with DFI roads, and it's regard to roadworks ongoing at Melmont Road, Sand Mills. I'm been told that there was no notification to some local businesses of that particular work. I'm also been told that it's now in its third week of disruption in that area. And could we have some sort of explanation from DFI roads as to what in blazes is going on Melmont Road, Sand Mills? Thank you, Mayor.
Through you, Chair, members, we can ask that question from DFI and update members accordingly.
I appreciate that, Mayor. And of course, coming in on the mouth of Christmas, it's important that that is resolved at the earliest.
Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is in, it's SER 623. Look, as people know, our public transport network is very, very important. And the DFA have overall responsibility for that. It's very concerning that the transit workers, the transport workers right across the north have voted to take industrial action on December 1st. Perhaps we'll take more industrial action leading right up to the Christmas holidays. I've talked to a lot of transport workers. They don't want to be taking this action, but they feel they have been forced into it. TransLink have offered them a 0% pay offer, 0%. These are workers who we depend on. They epitomise essential workers, our bus drivers, our train drivers, and they're being offered a 0% wage raise in the middle of a continuing cost of living crisis. And I wonder what TransLink and the Department for Infrastructure thought would happen when this was the offer that they were going to make. I think that the disruption that this strike will cause on December 1st is entirely the responsibility of TransLink, of the DFA, and of the Secretary of State for refusing to put proper budgets in place for us here. I've sent Teresa a very brief motion that I would like us to support. It's really just to convey our frustration at this pay offer to TransLink, and also to send our solidarity to the relevant unions who've overwhelmingly voted for strike action.
Councillor Gallagher, or Harkin, sorry. I know we took all our motions at the chairperson's business, but they were very, and I know this is a serious issue too, but I'm really kind of reluctant to accept motions coming out of the minutes of meetings. I do feel that could have been maybe brought as a motion beforehand. So if you don't mind, well, sorry. Huh?
I would come on. No.
Well, I was in the middle of speaking. I'm just saying that I'm reluctant because, sorry.
Mayor, I understand that you don't want to be in a situation where you're, I agree on bringing in motions, but the workers' unions hadn't declared that they were going to take strike action when the dates were set for bringing in formal motions. So that's why I'm trying to raise it now.
If that is the case, then it couldn't be helped. So I will allow it on that basis. Okay. Yeah, has that been second? Okay, Christopher, second. And you've already Councillor Harkin, you have spoken now to the motion, or do you want to say anything?
Can I just,
Sir, you.
Mayor, I'm happy to have spoken to you. Can I just add DFA after to TransLink and DFA expressing?
Okay, thank you. Now, I do have our speakers indicated that they wanted to come in under matters arising. I would take it at this stage that it is not on this matter. So I have Councillor Heaney and Councillor O'Reilly. So if it's not in this matter, I will come back to you.
Sorry, Mayor, it was a matter of accuracy in a previous paper that I just spotted there now, but I can deal with it separately if
okay,
you know.
Yeah, and we'll come back to you too, Martin. So any comments now on this proposal, motion? Councillor Jackson.
Mayor, and I appreciate the comments and an indication in relation to the pop-up motion, but I think given the time of year we're in, and we would try and avoid having motions brought to a December council meeting, and that's so. I can, and this is a pressing issue in relation to workers' rights and workers' pay. So we've all supported workers on picket lines. We've all recognised the valuable service that TransLink in particular provide, and right across our public sector. And a pay raise of 0% is completely disgraceful in the current climate, and in relation to the proposals in front of us today. From our perspective, we're fully supportive of it. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor O'Reilly.
Thanks, Mayor, for bringing me in. And just to confirm, I wanted to speak on a separate item under this item, this part of the minutes as well. But in relation to the motion that Councillor Harkin has tabled, the SLP are happy to support it. We're glad that you accepted it for debate this afternoon, given the fact that, as Councillor Harkin outlined, it only arose in the way that it did after the deadline for motions would have passed. We're also conscious that there are other planned strikes in the days ahead. A number of primary schools have issued letters to parents today indicating that there'll be action taken on Wednesday of next week. So as well as supporting the motion in front of us in relation to TransLink and the public sector workers in the transport environment, we also support those that are in education that have taken action on Monday at Audit Committee. I've spoken in relation to supporting the steps taken by education workers who were on strike last week. So right across the public sector, we see people taking action, demanding fair pay for the work that they're doing, and this council has stood with them on the picket line and in the chamber, and the SLP are happy to support the motion again in front of us this afternoon. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, I have no more indicated speakers on this motion. So, Councillor Harkin, do you want to sum up there?
That's fine, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so is everybody in agreement with this motion? There's no one against or abstaining? No, well, that motion has passed. Okay, I'm going to go back now to Councillor Heaney, and you wanted a correction, Councillor Heaney?
Sorry, and it was from the previous minutes special council meeting. I was marked as absent when I was present online.
Okay, that'll be corrected. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thanks, Mayor. And it's on SER 6/23, just in relation to the annual report by DFI Road Service. I'm conscious that Road Service are responsible for the maintenance of the lighting on the Peace Bridge, but Council is also responsible for other parts of the lighting on the Peace Bridge. A number of elected members across the chamber received correspondence from a constituent earlier in the week on this point, and given the time of year where we're coming into darker evenings, etc., there is an opportunity, I think, for the council to use the public asset that is the Peace Bridge and to show it off to the city and wider world with the number of people that will be visiting the council area over the Christmas period. Sinead McLaughlin MLA has raised this issue with council officers already over a number of occasions, and I'd be grateful if officers either can give an update now or bring a paper to the next DNR committee in relation to the steps taken to ensure that the Peace Bridge itself is illuminated in the right way as had been planned when it was opened over a decade ago. Thanks, Mayor.
Well, I'm sure council officers will get that organised. Moving on now to the monthly Governance and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 7th of November, 2023, pages 49 to 66. Proposer and seconder, thank you. Any matters arising? Councillor Jackson.
Mayor, it's GSP 168/23, and it's in relation to the capital programme. At committee, the committee agreed a direction of travel in relation to and endorsed the recommendations, with the exception of ballpark, and there'll be a report brought back to the committee. And I'm not suggesting we change the recommendations at all. I'm requesting a further report within the capital programme update. There was an update on the Prahan Boat House, and there was a direction in relation to. I know it's not a fully funded project, but it was noted and accepted that there's a budget that's been set aside for the demolition of the boat house. I've visited the boat house numerous times over recent months, and it is in a real bad state of disrepair. There's real concerns in relation to health and safety, and I accept that the most appropriate way forward is the demolition of that structure. But council have invested a significant amount of money in the pontoon and water-based activities and around the boat house area. There's a number of user groups that would regularly use the boat house for storage and to access the pontoon. What I am requesting is that a report is brought back to, I'm assuming, the Health and Communities Committee around how we can protect and give assurances to those existing users that the footprint will be protected. Their footprint within the Prahan Boat House area will be protected going forward, so that they can ensure that they have the use of the fantastic facility at the pontoon, and that their future at that site will be protected and retained going forward, regardless of what other development takes place. So I would appreciate a wee bit of a report in relation to that around the detail and how we can discuss that and take that forward. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, I'm sure officers will take that on board. Thank you. Moving on now to the monthly planning committee held on Wednesday, the 8th of November 2023, pages 67 to 76. Proposer and seconder, please.
I'll propose it, Patricia. Grace.
Grace, thank you. We had a seconder yet? Yeah, thank you. Any matters arising? No. Moving on to the reconvened planning committee held on Thursday, the 9th of November 2023, pages 77 to 74. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please?
I'll propose it.
Thank you, Grace. And Councillor Mooney, any matters arising? No. The monthly business and culture committee held on Tuesday, the 14th of November 2023. Proposer and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Hutton and Alderman Cook. Any matters arising? Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. B157. VC 157, sorry, page 112, Halloween. You've already mentioned the very successful Halloween event and indeed events. But members will note in that particular section, I had noticed that there were controversial issues that involved discomfort that was endured by Brady Ulster Scots Pipe Band at the parade, and indeed the appearance of items of a political nature that I believe should not be present at a Halloween festival event of this nature. I understand that officers are addressing or have addressed the issue, and I'm presuming that at some stage we will get some feedback as to how officers have engaged with the relevant bodies or parties on that as to the issues that did occur. Thank you, Mayor.
Should we have them to share the concern? Okay, we'll get a paper brought back in that, and members will be able to have a look at that too as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And no other matters arising? No. Monthly Environment and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, the 15th of November 2023. Proposer and seconder, please. Alderman Middleton and Councillor Hart. Thank you. Any matters arising? Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just the ER 246/23 about the Glenowin Task Force, and I'm glad to see it was on the agenda there. Look, I attended the last meeting with other councillors and council officers, and I'm with Glenowin resident group members. You were there yourself, Mayor. And I think that we were very frustrated that representatives from Apex and the DFI didn't attend the meeting. And it was embarrassing, to be quite honest, because I know that the resident group members are very, very busy people with kids, with jobs, and they have put a tremendous amount of work into trying to upgrade their area. And they've done a lot of excellent work, and that they were there and they acknowledged that some work had been done. And they did acknowledge that DFA were more responsive, even if they weren't happy with DFA's responses, but that they were at least getting immediate feedback on the things that they were raising. But it wasn't the case with Apex. And it was worrying for me that some of the residents felt like that there was a perception of them from Apex that these were problem people, problem residents who were, demanding the things we fixed. I'm very hopeful that, that Apex and DFA will attend the next meeting. But this is just not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable for them to treat the council this way, and it's not definitely not acceptable for them to treat residents this way. And look, we are moving into the winter months as well, which means that the types of things that are dangerous to residents, steps that are broken, railings that are loose, moss, grass. These are all the things that need to be fixed, because what we're trying to do is avoid accidents. And that, so I think that the organisations with responsibility need to be on the front foot and not be dragged to meetings. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Harkin, totally agree. And I know Councillor McGinley and Councillor Hutton were also at that meeting. I know Karen wants to come in because there was a recommendation to write to those organisations stating the frustration of what you just outlined there. So I'm going to bring Karen in now.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Certainly, officers have drafted a letter to go to the Chief Executive of Apex and the Divisional Roads Manager to express the frustration of members that were at the meeting and indeed the residents. I know we have done quite a lot of work, as members are aware, over the last number of months with the various parties, and it's very unfortunate that led to the frustration at the meeting. But certainly we will send those correspondences out in the next couple of days, and we will ensure that they're at the next meeting. Thank you.
It was remiss of me, Councillor Boyle was also at that meeting, so apologies, but you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few words on that. Look, I share Councillor Harkin's frustration. I'm sure other elected reps who were at the meeting, like myself and Councillor Harkin, would too. And, you know, absolutely everything that Councillor Harkin has said is entirely true and accurate. It is frustrating, particularly as our own officer team dedicate significant time to try and assist local residents there, and obviously particularly because this council doesn't actually have the statutory responsibility to deal with these matters. But following the motion that I put forward over a year ago, just over a year ago now, we've got to this point, and it's unfair. It's unfair if organisations initially say that they are willing to engage. They begin that engagement process, and then for no reason that's ever explained, they're not present for a meeting that happens in and around once every 2-3 months. It's not we're not asking them for an awful lot, but we're asking them to come and speak to the local residents in particular. And obviously, I will continue, and I'm sure everybody that sits in the working group will continue to try and alleviate some of the issues and sort out some of the problems, and the physical problems in particular. That is about the health and safety of local people, and we want to see those issues expedited as quickly as we possibly can, Mayor. And I know you'll share the frustration, and I'm sure you'll share the ambition for this project as well. So I accept that Karen has written to the two organisations concerned, and hopefully we will see their return in the next few weeks. Because I know, Mayor, if my memory serves me right, we were talking about having another meeting in the next 3-4 weeks to get a sit down with them again. You know, so appreciate you letting me in on that, Mayor.
No other matters arising? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is a small matter. It's just that there's the task force, and I think that this is open for all members, not just committee members, the Health and Community Committee. So I would just like to add myself to the task force on accommodation and HMOs, because there was a request to do that. Thank you.
Noted. Moving on, the monthly Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 16th of November, 2023. Proposer and seconder, Councillor Hutton and Councillor Heaney. Any matters arising? Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. And I seen many members putting up great pictures about the visit to the city baths, and it looked fantastic. You know, and the refurbishment seems to have gone very, very well. And I'm just inquiring, I wasn't able to make it that day, but do we have a definite date yet? Because that has now raised the expectations that the doors will be open and people will be diving into the deep end, the 10-foot deep end, or having their wains go to the small pool. Can we give people good news, or is that going to be still premature?
Well, I'm going to bring Karen, and look, I also attended, as all our members attended, the walkabout at the city baths, and it was brilliant. To get in there, you would love to just dive down into the water. It was so inviting, and there was at some stage I thought I was going to get thrown in by the photographer, but I felt it was like that film, what do you call that, Christmas film, where the dance floor opened and they fell in the water. There's a film, but it's an old one.
It's a Wonderful Life.
No, it's a wonderful life. I just felt but I would have pulled all our councillors on along me. I'll tell you that much. But no, it was absolutely brilliant to get in again. Now, Karen's going to give an update. In brief, there is no opening date yet because of testing and that, but I'll let Karen McFarlane come in on that.
Mayor, thank you. You've been very patient to date, and probably need you to be patient just for a little further period. So Our full planned opening is for January. And what we had anticipated following the walk around by members was that we would have a soft opening in December. So we did have some technical works to complete over the weekend. They have spilled over to today and indeed tomorrow. So we will take a review position as we do each Friday. So staff are on site. Staff training has been advanced for that particular team so that they don't have to step back out again for the normal staff training, which is just the third week in December. So assuming we can resolve this last final technical issue, we would be sending invitations to former user groups, long-term key historic user groups, little soft invitations to some of our schools to try out the facilities before Christmas, but it will be January before we have full programming. So our best estimate had been somewhere towards the end of the first week of December, subject to full and clear water tests. So we just have to really tease out those last few issues, councillors, and as soon as we have the first group there, we're happy to have an introductory session for members as well, if it's in demand. Thank you.
Well, Councillor Hutton, I'm going to bring you in a minute, but I'm going to divulge a little secret, probably give you all a bit of a laugh. As divulged in that meeting, I do not swim. Love the baths, but I do not swim. So it was put to me, why doesn't the mayor get sponsored to learn to swim for her charity? So I will have seriously thought about the matter. And I'm just going to put it out there now. I'll be looking for sponsorship, the mayor, and I'll have to get that slotted on the diary. Did I get a personal trainer and there's a lifeguard on duty? That the mayor is going to learn to swim for her chosen charities. There we go. So, Councillor Hutton.
Just a quick question, so we can move on. During the last update meeting that we had, we talked on and around a comms plan. Is there anything ready to go yet? Can we get a wee look at it just to see what's going to be happening and how it's going to be promoted? Because we know we want to get good numbers.
Yeah, it's all in draft, ready to go. Adele's just waiting to hit the button. So certainly we'll share that with you as we release it.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And that's a great idea in terms of the sponsored learning to swim. So be happy to support that. And look, we did say that we were going to be reopening the city baths at the end of the summer, and I think we raised expectations because I had a lot of people asking me, as I'm sure other people were as well, is this really going to happen? And it hasn't. And so, look, Karen's saying now January, and look, some of these things are out of our control. But I think that, we've built up expectation here a lot, and because people are following these discussions and people are asking councillors what's happening. So, look, I would just urge that if we are saying January now, that we have to try and make that happen, because I would prefer we're honest with people and say, look, there's possible unknowns that might delay it again, rather than say it's going to be September, which was kind of what we said before the summer, and that didn't transpire. Look, as soon as it gets opened, the better. That's going to be the best outcome. I want the mayor to learn how to swim and to raise some money. So let's if that's if we can make that happen, that would be good.
I think it'll be a miracle. Well, I have two more speakers. I have Alderman Guy and then Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Guy, if you want to come in there.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me in. It's under HC 216/23, and it's age-friendly action plan. It's not about the action plan itself. I'd actually contacted your office, but it was too late because of the announcement yesterday. about the Waterside branch of the Ulster Bank closing. So if you let me just bring it up under this section here. So was deeply disappointed, obviously, to hear that the Ulster branch had decided to close from the 27th of February, the Waterside branch. Thankfully enough, the majority of staff are to be relocated. But it's all too familiar now due to the increased use of online banking. The offer of assistance by Ulster Bank is of little comfort to the elderly and those vulnerable customers who rely on face-to-face contact with bank staff, who I have to say are quite excellent in the job that they do. It's not about the handiness in online banking. It's about getting out. It's about getting out and about, and basically meeting, talking to people, improving their own mental health, rejecting the loneliness and having that small interaction with other people that some of us take for granted. Mayor, if you will allow me just to ask that if council could write to the Ulster Bank asking that they reconsider their decision of closing the Waterside branch. And it's just, Teresa's put it up there, but it's just a small ask. Thank you, Mayor.
Have I got a seconder for that proposal? Alderman McMorris, okay. Is everybody in agreement? Do you want to come on this issue? Martin, go ahead.
Thanks, Councillor Harkin. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing me in, and thanks to Alderman Gay for bringing it forward for discussion this afternoon. The SDLP support this. Sinead McLaughlin, MLA, has already made her own representations, similar to what the motion before us has asked for. And indeed, I've written back, I know Councillor Mooney has as well, in terms of our response to the bank in relation to what their plans are. There certainly was a degree of shock in the Waterside when this was announced yesterday, and our concern is obviously not just for the staff who work in the building, but also for the customers and wider business community in this part of the Waterside. The location of the branches is key for Clooney Terrace and the wider Waterside. And indeed, when the map of the branches that are earmarked for closure was put up on news pages last night, you could see both in the west, in the likes of Lisnaskea and Fermanagh, a branch that I know well, but where my first ever bank account was, but also in our Waterside. That this would take branches out of areas that serve a wider population than just simply those who live adjacent to it, because there are customers who will come in from cross-border locations and want to use places that they're familiar with. So it impacts those that use it as Waterside residents, but a much wider impact. And I think that the bank need to bear that in mind. I'm also aware, being contacted by people in relation to the location of the building and what the plans are for that building, given its prominence along Clooney Terrace and the Waterside. So I think it certainly will generate a huge amount of interest into what happened with that, and certainly I think Ulster Bank need to think again about what their plans are for that site. Thanks, Mayor.
Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Mayor. We also support this motion. I was speaking on the radio this morning, and when I was speaking at the Women's Group the other night, I was basically shocked that even young people are just dismayed about the decision to close the Ulster Bank and the Waterside. And just, I agree totally with the benefits of people being able to go out and transact their business face to face. The elderly and the vulnerable, especially. Do you know what I mean? We all know what automated systems is like, and for people to try and navigate that, to try and find out information. The also thing I'd like to add out is say as well, in order for pensioners in the Waterside to access now a branch, they need to take at least 2 buses in order to access the Conmore Road. And so there's a real accessibility issue in regards to the decision to close the bank in the Waterside. And just in regards to the staff, I mean, a lot of the staff have been there for a long, long time. And redeployment, but thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
And just on to echo the comments that have already been made, I think as a representative of the waterside, I think all of us have been inundated with concerns, mainly by older people who are daunted by online banking and that how much they rely on the service and the face-to-face service. And I know MLA Keir Ferguson has again written to, like others, and I'm assuming all MLAs have and all parties have written to the Ulster Bank to ask them to reverse their decision. But just they support the proposal that's put in front of us. Thank you.
Right. If you don't mind, can you give me just a couple of wee minutes until we just finish this item? 2 minutes. So that's at I would need to, so that's concluded. There are no more speakers on that matter. Yeah. Alderman Hussey, I'm aware you were looking to come in. So after that, I'm going to ask for suspension of standing orders so we can deal with this matter. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It was on the City Bath issue that I wanted to come in on. And it was with regard to, is there a guarantee that there will be no further deep financial plunges with regard to the City Bath? And the reason I didn't attend the open day for councillors was I was fearful that Councillor McGinley would perhaps throw me in at the deep end.
You certainly hope that that's not the case, but like most things in life, no guarantee can be provided.
Okay. Okay, right, folks. I'm asking for a suspension of standing orders.
To get a proposal to do?
Can I have a proposal? Councillor McHugh. Seconder, Councillor Duffy.
You have to take a vote.
And can I now take a vote on that proposal to suspend standing orders, please? We'll do that verbally, yeah?
Unanimous?
Is it unanimous? Yeah. No.
No.
Alderman Hussey, are you abstaining or are you voting against? Is there anybody else abstaining?
Yes.
Can I just point out that the SDLP group will be voting for the suspension of stand orders?
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
just asking, is anybody voting against or anybody abstaining? So you're...
I have to take a vote because it's a qualified majority vote, 80% of the...
Okay, we are going to have to go on to an open vote then because I need a qualified majority of 80%. Thank you.
Here's a proposal to go to suspend standing orders. Alderman Cook.
Abstain.
Alderman Guy.
Abstain.
Alderman Hussey.
I abstain.
Alderman Carrigan.
Abstain, John.
Alderman McCready.
Abstain.
Alderman McMorris.
Abstain.
Alderman Middleton.
Abstain, John.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Abstain, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
For.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
For.
Councillor Boyle. Councillor Cusick.
For.
Councillor Devine.
Ha.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
For.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart. Councillor Heaney. Councillor Hutton. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard. Councillor Logue.
For.
Councillor McDade.
For.
Councillor McGinley. Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney.
For.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris.
For.
Councillor O'Farrell. Councillor Riley.
For.
Councillor Tierney.
For.
And Councillor Innes. Thank you. Just give me a moment, please, members.
Chair, if it assists, an abstention doesn't count as a vote in relation to this.
So we have 27 for, nobody against, and 8 abstentions. So standing orders are suspended.
Okay. Catherine, can you just give me a wee minute? I'm going to allow you to speak, Catherine, 1 wee minute. Just I've just been advised, look, there's a few people in the gallery with their faces covered. Now, I can't make you withdraw your face mask, but I think in the interest of openness, can you please take down your masks?
So you've asked.
I've asked, so look, that's it. So Catherine, if you want to go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying, I'm the branch rep for Derry Palestine Solidarity Ireland branch of Derry Ireland Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Sorry, and I just want to say that we are against anti-Semitism in whatever form. And that banner, although we do agree with the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador, we do not agree with anti-Semitic symbols or statements or anything of that sort. So we come here today acknowledging that there's a humanitarian pause in process, but calling for a full ceasefire. We come today not to condemn our local council, but instead we offer thanks for the measures that you have taken in solidarity with the people of Palestine. The IPSC and Derry are delighted that we have a local authority that backs BDS. We are delighted that the motion of support for the British and Irish Israeli ambassadors to be expelled was passed by Derry and Strabane Council. Derry is synonymous with the struggle for civil rights and justice. We welcome all the moves by our council to offer solidarity to those living under brutal occupation. However, we demand that council motions in relation to Palestine are implemented. We demand that Derry and Strabane Council is truly an authority that respects and actively carries out boycott, divestment and sanctions. The Derry Journal carried the story in April this year that despite the acceptance of BDS in 2016 and a second vote in 2019, that there has been no practical work done to implement a BDS policy on Derry and Strabane Council. We want to know why. When will it start? In March 2023, a response from our council to the Derry Journal stated that no action had been taken in terms of investigating the most practical means of implementing the BDS campaign. This is not good enough. We cannot allow pro-Palestinian solidarity motions to be idle talk or virtue signalling. This council must act as a democratically agreed, now more than ever. Some people here today and those who comment on social media will say our actions in this chamber are an attack on democracy, that we are stopping our local council from functioning. That's not the case. We are here as part of a worldwide movement that is fighting for democracy, as part of the global anti-war movement since the illegal invasion of Iraq. Sorry, I should say the biggest global anti-war movement. A ceasefire is overwhelmingly supported by global humanity. Yet our voices are ignored by the few who continue to support genocide. There are parties represented in this chamber whose MPs voted for death and destruction to be visited on Iraq. The same DUP MPs who made the world less safe in 2003, that helped bring about a seemingly endless cycle of war, of refugees, and absolute terror through their votes for war in not just Iraq, but Libya, Syria, and Afghanistan, and are now making speeches dehumanising Palestinians and voting against a ceasefire. We appeal to the DUP representatives on this council to use your voice within your party and demand that your MPs support a ceasefire. The extraordinary scale of violence over the last 8 weeks simply could not have happened without the blessing of US President Joe Biden, a man that was taken from this very building like a returning son of the soil to drink a pint with members who sit here today. The reception that Biden received in this district and throughout Ireland was disgusting, fawning, and has left a stench in the air ever since. We demand that this council and the parties in it pass a motion to ensure that going forward there are no great welcomes and red carpet receptions for war criminals. How can we talk in solidarity while buying their tormentor-in-chief a pint of the black stuff? We demand that the council refuse to grovel at the feet of Biden's emissaries. Next time Joe Kennedy rocks up, he must be told that while his administration are committing genocide, he's not welcome here. All the parties in this chamber have a part to play. All the independents have a part to play. We ask that all members here use their influence, their voices, and their humanity to help change the situation for Palestinians. No empty words, no motions that will never be actually implemented. We want action. Let civil rights be a beacon of hope shining from the city and not an exhibition in the Guildhall or the Tower Museum. Let's work together to make Derry and Strabane area an apartheid-free zone. Let's work together to kick out the Israeli ambassador. Let's work together to see that Israel's leadership and their backers are taken to court for their crimes against humanity. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Free, free Palestine.
Thank you, Catherine. I just want to, I suppose, let you know that we have been discussing Gaza and Palestine already today within this council chamber. And, you know, there was voices of concern regarding the BDS, the implementation of the motion and how this council I suppose, didn't progress it or in the way that it should be. But Councillor Duffy brought a motion to say that we are going to put our shoulder to the wheel now to find a way, and it was also amended by Councillor Harkin, that this council find a way to implement that motion with expediency. And I just want to let you know that was passed here within this council chamber today. I think there was lots and lots of comments here today, but the main issues, every person's life is sacred, but when you look at all those children who have lost their lives needlessly, I am going to propose now that we have a minute's silence in memory of all those young lives. Okay. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Thank you. Folks, I'm going to have to bring this to order now, please. No. Folks, I'm going to propose now that we take a recess.
Do you want to try and do confidential business now, wrap it up for the day and do the motions tomorrow?
Folks, I have proposed that we take a 15-minute recess. I'm then going to go into confidential business, but I am proposing then that we come back tomorrow to do the motions. Unless, you know,
You can't because you're going to go away.
we are going to go away over. So look, do we want to take a 10-minute recess see how we get on with the confidential and we'll see how we get on, okay? But if I think it's going to run way over, I'm afraid I'm going to have to call it and we're going to have to come back tomorrow. Thank you. Right, members, can you please return to your seats? Right, folks, look, as you can see, a number of councillors, aldermen have felt the need to leave the building. And I am aware too that some staff had felt a bit unnerved just by what has happened. So I am proposing that given the absence of some councillors, that it wouldn't be right to go on to confidential business. And I am proposing that we suspend this meeting until tomorrow.
Okay, you're the chair.
Second it. Okay, I did want to get it wrapped up today, but folks, unexpected things happen. And I think in the interest of everybody as well, if we suspend until tomorrow. Okay? Okay, thank you.